folks, 21st Century Caveman here. Hope everybody's well, hope everybody's happy. So for those of you who watch my channel on a regular basis, you will note that a lot of the videos which I produce, they're related to DIY activities, which is one of my favourite and main hobbies. Now you will also be aware that there are a multitude of other stuff on there. Some of the videos are a little bit random, but there are other sort of notable segments, including outdoor activities, which is another firm favourite of mine. I like, bushcrafting, camping, particularly wild camping, a lot of outdoorsy stuff, hiking, and going on a cycle, mountain bike, that sort of stuff. But in addition to that, I do actually have another hobby. It's fair to say that I am something of a watch enthusiast. Now, I wouldn't actually describe myself as being a watch collector, but I do have a small collection of watches, pretty inexpensive watches. The most expensive one is around about 500 quid. So I've got about half a dozen of those, and I do actually rotate them on a very regular basis. What I wear will depend largely on which one I wear. So it will depend largely on what I'm wearing at the time, whether I'm dressed casually or a little bit more formally, perhaps how I feel, whether it's the weather. If it's a particularly hot day, I wouldn't really want to wear a watch on a leather strap because it soaks up the sweat. I'll probably wear something on a bracelet. So one of the things which I tend to do is to buy watches on bracelets because it's cheaper to do that rather than to buy them, for example, on a leather strap and then have to purchase the bracelets afterwards. So anyway, just one of the little things which I do. Now, if you are a watch enthusiast, you can actually significantly change the look of a watch by simply changing the strap. And I'm going to include one or two clips here whereby I've changed the straps on one particular watch, and as we can see, it does significantly change the presentation of the watch. Anyway, so when you get to my stage of life, when you have a little bit more cash, when the kids are grown up, when you pay the mortgage off, and of course when you have more time to enjoy your hobbies, I think it's fair to say that a lot of people have certain aspirations. They might want to spend a little bit more money on the hobby, invest more time in it, and this is one of the reasons which prompted me to do this video, really, because I received a call a couple of days ago from a large jewellery retailer in the UK called Goldsmiths, who rang to make me aware that one of the watches which I'm on a waiting list for, and it's this one on the screen here, it's made by Tudor, which is a sub-brand of subsidiary of Rolex, and it's called the Black Bay GMT. Now this is a really truly beautiful watch, but it's not cheap. The current retail price for this is £2,830, which is not an insignificant amount of money. The fact that you can tell the time from a variety of other sources which arguably are more accurate. For example, I work in an office. I always wear a wristwatch to work, but equally I can tell the time from my computer, from a phone, and also there's a really great big clock stuck on the wall near to my desk. Now the reason I'm making this video is because I now have to seriously think about sticking my hand in my pocket and forking out nearly £3 for this watch if I decide to go for it. And it's made me really think quite seriously about what I could spend that amount of money on. Now, for example, here I am, an auto trader, and here's a nice vehicle. It's a nice mini convertible for around about the same amount of money or thereabouts. Full service history, lovely looking little car. Summer's just around the corner, and I know that myself and my partner Tina would be rather content indeed running around in a nice little vehicle like this. So for the same amount of money as that watch, we could have a nice little vehicle just to sort of knock about in and enjoy summer. Now, if I wanted to reduce the risk of damaging my four-wheel drive and sticking all my tools in there and all the stuff that goes with it, I can actually equally fork out the same amount of money on a nice little van like this, and also perhaps even use it for camping. Now, as previously mentioned, I really am into my outdoor activities, I love the sea, I have an affinity with water, and I want to start doing sea fishing in earnest really, and to that end I actually want to purchase a couple of kayaks, possibly even 3, for me, my son, and perhaps a smaller one for Tina, so we can start doing some coastal touring and some fishing from that as well. And if we look at the prices of these, for example, this one on the screen here, you can get them for under sort of 700 quid, and so you can quite easily get 3 of these, and some nice safety gear to go with it, for around about the same amount of money. So it really does focus your mind when you're in a position where you have to seriously think about putting your hand in your pocket and forking out some hard cash. It really does make you think quite seriously about whether or not you're prepared to spend that sort of money. Now the thing is, of course, in terms of relaxation, in terms of recreational activity, we all like to go on holiday, don't we? And for just under £3,000, I think it's fair to say that you can buy yourself a nice 2-week break in a very nice hotel. And here I'm just looking at some hotels, some holidays in the Algarve, and for just under £3,000 I could get a very nice holiday indeed for myself and my partner, and perhaps one at a slightly cheaper hotel for me, my partner and my son, for the same amount of money, for the same money basically as just having one of these watches on my wrist. So you'll also be aware that I'm currently doing a renovation project. I've purchased a house for my son and it needs a new bathroom. So rather than forking out nearly £3,000 for a watch, which all I can do basically is use it to tell the time and it'll be sitting on my wrist, I can actually buy a very nice new bathroom suite, stick it in this property and have money left over to buy things like tiles, flooring, paint and all the rest of it. Now, as we can see from the pictures in the bottom left hand of the screen, this particular property has some PVC cladding basically on the outside, which has been up for many years. It hasn't been maintained and it's filthy. So there are many ways I can actually spend the same amount of money, but the problem has intensified because I'm also on the waiting list for another watch, and this is the watch which you can see on the screen. It's a Rolex Air King. The price for this is £4,750 to buy it from a main dealer. It is a truly beautiful watch. Certainly not everybody's cup of tea. You can actually buy one off the shelf from other watch retailers, but if you want the full retail experience of buying one of these, going into a main dealer, sitting down, having a couple of glasses of plonk, and having the customer service treatment, you can actually and you're prepared to wait, of course, then it would perhaps be preferable. So you don't have to buy these, you don't have to go on a waiting list for these. They are available quite readily, this particular model, and if we go onto a very popular website from Watchfinder, then you can pick these up. You're going to pay a little bit more, but you can pick these up and get them pretty much straight away if you're not prepared to go on a waiting list and wait for one of these from a main dealer. And we're just going to have a look at some models here. Look, yeah, so they're around about the same sort of price. Look, you are paying a premium for those if you want box and papers with them. This is just under £5,000. But the thing is, of course, the same argument applies. When you're in a position where you've got to seriously start thinking about forking out a pretty reasonable sum of money, inevitably you're going to start thinking about what other things you can actually buy with that amount of money, and also the fact that they may actually provide you with more pleasure or indeed more utility. So let's consider some of the other things we can do then for just under £5,000. So we can see from the back of this property in the top right hand corner that my neighbour has a conservatory. So this is on the left hand side of the property, And if we go on the Wix website, and you know, I'm not saying that I'd actually buy the conservatory from Wix, but this is a bit of a ready reckoner really. This gives you an idea as to what you can buy for that amount of money. So I can actually get a very nice conservatory indeed, stick it on the back of this property, and it would also hopefully increase the value of the property and obviously increase the living space as well. Another route would be to actually buy new windows for my property. And you know, once again on the old Wix website here, I know for a fact that I can actually, for under £5,000, I could buy new windows for my property completely, you know, kit it out with brand new windows, and they'd look very nice indeed. I think it's also fair to say that if I did the cladding myself, I could also get perhaps some windows and some cladding. Alternatively, I could also spend my money. I'm an auto trader again. I could actually buy myself a caravan look and just stick it on the back of the four-wheel drive. There are many options. Here's a nice little towing caravan, but equally I could buy a static caravan and I can get a nice one for under £5,000 as well. So there are many more options indeed. Now, if I didn't want to buy a caravan, I could actually purchase a log cabin. And for the same price as just having this Rolex on my wrist, I could get one of these log cabins off the internet, build it myself, stick it in the bottom of the garden, and you know, it would certainly give me the feel good factor, and it would be a very nice addition to my property indeed. You know, you could turn it into a little gym. You know, you could just use it as a little sort of a man cave, or indeed a woman cave, if that's the right word. So basically, for under £5,000, there are many things to spend my money on. And the question, of course, I have to ask myself, now that I'm in a position whereby I can afford to shell out a few grand and, you know, try to increase my love, enhance my desire for my hobbies, you know, I've got to start thinking about what I spend my money on. Therefore, the question I've got to ask myself is as follows. Am I prepared to spend nearly £5,000 on an item which will simply sit on my wrist and all it will do is to tell the time? I'm a bollocks.